and hello. My name is Felecia H. Eaton, and you are watching Conversations with Felecia H. Eaton with special guest Linda McNeil.
I'm so excited to be here, Felecia.
Oh my goodness, I'm so excited to have you here. This is the third episode. Now, I know there are some podcasts out there where people are like into their 105th and 200th episode and well, that's not me. I'm just at number 3, but you have to start somewhere, right? And so today we are going to have just a career conversation with a phenomenal woman. So Linda McNeil is my neighbor, yes, my church member, my friend, yes, right? Let's see. And she is a brand new member of Divine Nine. She's a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, right?
Yes, I am.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I'm excited about that too.
So listen, let me tell you what happened. So during COVID, we're like 2 houses away from each other, right, Linda?
Right. 2 houses. Mm-hmm.
So about a month ago, beginning of January, before Christmas, I'm in my home and I'm working on developing this course to help people on the job. And then all of a sudden, I see a post and Linda has written a book. I'm like, what the freak? How did I not know this?
I tell you.
So I was like, this is amazing. 2 amazing women, yes, 2 doors down, and yes, we're both in our homes, not bothering anybody, and we're both becoming great in our own way.
In our own way.
Oh, my goodness. So, Linda, welcome.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
So, listen, on my podcast, it is my goal to let women know, and really anybody, but I love a good, phenomenal woman. I'm just going to say that. But to let them know that anybody, your everyday woman, can be successful on the job.
Yes.
Okay. Sometimes we have things that make us go backwards. Sometimes we fall, and we have to start all over. We have to hit the reset button, but you absolutely can do that and keep moving. Yes. And so we want you to be inspired by this conversation today. I know it's about to be powerful. So get ready. So get ready. Get your pencil, your paper out. And the title of this podcast is Reward Over Profit. And as we talk and as this conversation continues, you'll understand why I named this podcast that. Oh, okay. So,
love it. I love the title.
Yay! So I have 7 questions for you.
Okay.
And in each of my podcasts, I have the same 7 questions. But the great thing about it is each time it's going to be a different story.
Exactly.
Because we all have stories.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
We all have stories of overcoming, stories of going above and beyond, stories of being a wife, a mom, a community leader. We all have those stories, right? So let's get into it. All right. So the first question is, tell me about your story. So where you're from, where you live now, your schools, your family dynamic, all of that good stuff.
Okay. All right. I am, as Felecia said, Linda McNeil. I am from Memphis, Tennessee. Actually, born in Tunica, Mississippi. Most people only know Tunica because of the casinos, and a while back it was Sugar Ditch where we got a little notoriety. But I was born there. My family moved to Memphis when I was probably 5 years old, and honestly, I lived in both places up until my 8th grade year. So my mom and dad couldn't get it together.
As a lot of us cannot.
So it was, they break up, get back together. So I went to 2 schools every year up until my 8th grade year.
Really?
Yes.
I've never heard of that before.
So I have friends in Mississippi, friends in Memphis.
Wow.
That I treasure. And, when I was growing up, it was a hard situation, but I treasure the fact that I do have friends in both places because
awesome.
of that experience.
Yeah.
I went to Northside
I didn't know that.
So lived in North Memphis most of my elementary, junior high school year. And then my mom decided she wanted to move on up, and we moved to South Memphis with near my grandmother, and actually graduated from Melrose. But I still am Northside at heart. So I still go to Northside's reunions, high school reunions. Melrose is a great school, but North Memphis was my home for a long time, and those were where my friends are, and friends that I still have to this day. So went to high school, graduated from Melrose, graduated from Lamont College.
Okay.
Actually, I am what they call a non-traditional student because I ended up going back. Actually worked on the campus for years before I went back to school, but being on that campus, it makes no sense. The energy to not pursue higher ed.
So let's put a pin in that. Were you a part of the lifelong learning?
Yes.
So my mom went back to college. When I went to college, she went back to college at Lamont, and she went through the lifelong learning program also. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
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 So how old were you when you went back to?
Let's see. I went back in the 27. I was about 27, yeah, because my children actually, my oldest ones, they grew up on that campus. I mean, they went to class with me.
Wow.
I had to work. We had events, so they had to go to the events with me.
Right.
So they grew up on that campus. So it was never a doubt in their minds that they were going to college. But I had to,
do what you had to do.
Had to pivot and do what I had to do, yeah.
Right. Awesome. Yeah. Okay. I mean to stop you, but go ahead.
No, okay. Whatever.
Lamont on.
Lamont on. Graduated in 2004 from Lamont. Are we talking about work or just family? Okay,
yeah.
School. Okay.
Yep. School, family.
I am, as you know, married to an awesome individual, Major McNeil. Yes. He is a battalion chief for the Memphis Fire Department. We have 6 adult children, and amazing adult children, I have to say. And I'm just not just saying it because they're mine. They're amazing. Let's see.
And so let's talk about when you first went back to school. Went to college, and you were taking your children on campus with you. They were going to events with you. What dreams did you have for your life at that time?
At that time, the dream was to show them that life didn't have to be so hard. I was working and going to school at the same time, so it was one to be a good role model for them. I was working on campus as well, so of course I was working in the development office. I just got a touch of the development profession, so that was definitely not my career goal. Development, had no idea it even existed. Okay. So my career goal was to go into corporate America and to find me a good job at FedEx or somewhere like that. Right. But I ended up going into the nonprofit profession because I actually started falling in love with it on that campus on Lamont. Lamont was a blessing to me in so many ways. Being able to show my children something different, being able to achieve, get my degree, and then the profession that has been good to me. Yeah.
Well, let's talk about that. Okay. Let's talk about that career story, because we all have a life story, but let's talk about that career story. What industry are you in? Okay. How long have you been in the industry? And then I'll hold my last question, but let's talk about the industry that you're in now, how long you've been in it, and I guess what drew you to that industry.
Okay. I am in the nonprofit profession, specifically fundraising. I've been in this profession for over 25 years. Okay. What drew me to the nonprofit profession was just the relationships that it allows you to build with people. And being on, and anyone who's gone to a HBCU that it's a family environment anyway. But the alums at that school, the history, the people you get to meet, and to see them, so unselfishly give their and you get nothing back in return when you give to a nonprofit. So to see them unselfishly give back so someone else can benefit and grow and learn was just a beautiful experience to watch, and it just made me fall in love with the profession.
That's awesome. I really feel like I'm an honorary Lamont on college.
I'm sure because you were with
right. My mom, and 2 uncles, so I really should be wearing purple as well. Right.
We take it.
Right. So how long have you been in the nonprofit industry, and what do you love most about it?
Okay. I've been in the industry over 25 years.
Wow.
And what I love most about it is the relationships you get to build with people, the genuine, authentic relationships you get to build with people. Yeah. And the fact that the work that I do helps this community become a better community. It helps people who are in need. It's just such a blessing to this. I mean, nonprofits are a blessing to this community. Yeah. Some people may say we have too many. I agree, but we need them. And
right.
I'm just fortunate to be able to add the fundraising piece to the nonprofits that I've been able to work with.
And I think that's what drew me to you is because although I am not, well, I won't say I'm kind of always in that nonprofit industry, but I got my master's in social work. So I knew very early on, like as a teenager, probably before a teenager, that I wanted to help people. So I got my master's in social work, and I did about 8 to 9 years in the school system. So I was a school social worker, and I worked with teen moms, 7th through 12th grade, who were already pregnant or they were about to have babies. And so I did that. The opportunity came about for me to go into the for-profit world. I took the opportunity, but that passion for helping young mothers never left me. So I went to actually worked for Lemoore for a couple of years. I developed a Saturday program for teen moms. So, and it's just always a part of my heart. My mom was 18 when she had me. So that's just always a part of me. You know, so I think that's what
I knew that, because that's a passion of mine too, helping young women. I was a teen mom, and
really,
if it wasn't for people, having a support system, I definitely would not be able to do anything that I've been able to do.
Yeah, and I think working with the young ladies that I work with the school system, I just saw so much, and so many of them did not have a support system, which is why it was such a part of me, and it's still a part of me to do what I can to help them and to be a support system for their population. So that's pretty cool to know. Yeah. Yay. All right. So what kind of challenges do you face in your profession? Have you faced any challenges?
I've faced a lot. I mean, asking people for their funds is not an easy thing to do. I had to get out of my own way a long time ago because it's intimidating to ask people who have so much to give. And again, as I said earlier, they get nothing in return for their gift. And I certainly well, I shouldn't say do not because I'm blessed now, but I didn't have the resources some of the people that I was asking to give had. And it's intimidating to go and sit in front of a wealthy person. But I had to get out of my own way because I had to realize that I'm not asking them to give to me. I'm asking them to give to the organization. Right. So, and to meet a need in this community. So that was one challenge. And it took me a long time to get over that. I mean, my first meeting with a donor at a restaurant, I know I didn't eat much. And I went through my spiel so fast, and thank goodness it was a kind person who had been in this nonprofit industry for a long time, and they were like, slow down, it's okay,
it's okay, breathe,
okay, breathe.
Yeah.
And so I made it through that one, and fortunately they said yes. So that was one challenge. It's to have to ask someone who has so much, and coming from my background, it's like, how dare you?
Right.
That's the way I was telling myself. How dare you ask these people? And and then I had to realize, how dare I not? Because if they have the resources, there's a need to be met. How dare I not ask?
How dare I not ask?
Right.
Ooh. Yeah,
but I had to get there.
So let's talk about that. So when you first entered the workforce, right? You've been in this industry now for over 20 years. 25 years. So when you first entered the workforce, were you prepared? It sounds like you were not because you were like talking really fast and nervous, but let's talk about, were you prepared to enter the workforce really? And what did that look like? Because you're awesome now. You're looking at greatness right now. But what did it look like 25 years ago?
I was so green. Oh, I was so green. I mean, I don't remember ever taking a career readiness course. if there was one in school. There probably was. I just don't remember ever signing up to take one. And honestly, I flew past this. I had so many careers before I got to this one. I mean, in my head, like I wanted to be a cosmetologist. So you have to do all the coursework first. Did all the coursework, passed it with flying colors. Then when you get to the practicals, you got to do folks' hair, you got to do folks' nails.
Right.
I can't do any of that. I have 3 daughters, and I never did their hair because I don't know how to do. I can't par straight.
Are you serious?
Is this par straight? Yes, straight. My beautician did that. So I mean, I don't know why in high school I really thought that I could.
Wow.
I thought that, that was, and a lot of my friends were doing hair. People we knew in the neighborhood were doing hair, and they always had money. They always looked good. So I was like, I can do this.
Right.
Went through, almost 3 years, and could not pass the couldn't get past doing the practical work.
Yeah.
So that was profession and went away.
Wow.
I wanted to be a nurse.
Okay.
So after I had my first child, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go into this nursing assistance program. And that'll start me off because the nurses made good money.
Right.
Again, I've always been smart with books, people. Get past all of the book stuff.
Yeah.
Pass with flying colors. When you used to have to get in there and do the actual practicum work.
Right.
I could not. I
Wow.
couldn't get past the
Wow.
grueliness of that. So if I had to do it just by book,
Right.
oh yeah, I could do it, but I can't,
Right.
doing the actual, so yeah.
Yeah. But you know what? That's so key because a lot of times we come out of school or just enter into life thinking, oh, I can do this, I can do that. But we only think that because we see it in other people.
Right, right.
And we don't necessarily know what our purpose is.
Exactly.
And it takes time.
It does.
It takes time to really figure out what you're good at, what you're best at, and how you can change somebody else's life. Nonprofit or profit, it doesn't matter.
Right.
What you do should have an impact on somebody else's life. That's my opinion.
Right.
But, it's okay if you don't know coming out of college exactly what you want to do. It takes experience. It takes trying different things to say, oh, I don't really like that.
Right.
Or I'm not really good at that.
Exactly. But be honest with yourself when you
Right.
realize it. Don't keep pushing. Especially something you're not passionate about.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Because then you're wasting time.
Exactly. Yours and whoever you're working for. too.
Right. And you're slowing down your journey to being great or to becoming whatever you're trying to
Right.
become.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh, wow. That is so cool.
So no, I was not prepared.
So let's go back though. You 3 girls and you didn't know how to do their hair.
No, thank God I had sisters who did.
Oh my goodness.
They would do their hair on the weekend, and I would just change the little balls that they would wear.
Now I would say, Linda, don't tell anybody that, but you just told everybody that. So
they'll tell you too. It's the truth. It is the truth.
That is crazy.
It is, and I don't know why I thought I could do hair.
Yeah.
I didn't. I don't know why.
Wow. Well, thank God for your sisters.
Yes, thank goodness for them.
Yes. So let's talk about personal characteristics that you feel like have propelled you throughout your career. Like, what have been those things that made you great or made you good and you were willing to take good to great? What have been those characteristics that have propelled you? And then what is something that stood in your way? Like, what characteristics kept you from moving forward?
Desire for my children to see, do, and have more than what I had. And I didn't grow up in a bad situation. It's just that I just grew up with a mother who, for her, it was graduating high school was the pinnacle.
Right.
And getting a job after you graduate so it was not college. So the fact that I wanted, the drive that I had is because I wanted them to see more, do more, have more. I think being a hard worker, I've always been a hard worker. I think my work ethic, I just, I'm gonna get it done.
Right.
I have, just a get it done attitude.
Do more, see more, have more. I couldn't go past that. I had to.
Yeah, I mean, I
Yeah.
just,
Yeah.
and I probably pushed him too much, but it is what it is.
Right.
I think being willing to be flexible, to be open, always willing to learn, not having an attitude, a know-it-all attitude. I've always been open to learning more and learning from others. Everyone, you can learn something from everyone, from the janitor to the CEO.
That's right.
So I've always been open to learning from whoever I'm with. I like a plan, but I can accept change.
That's key.
Yeah.
That's key.
Yeah.
Because so many people, we put a plan in place, and then when something doesn't go right or something happens that's not in our plan, we lose it. And it throws us off.
It can.
And if it throws us off, then we're like, oh, it must not have been meant for that to happen. And that's not the case.
That is not the case. I am a prime example. That is not the case. I have written so many plans, and they've been rewritten, scratched up, thrown away.
Yeah.
But I mean, I do like a plan. I don't like working in ambiguity. I mean, what is the word? Ambiguity, whatever it is. Anyway.
Yeah, that.
Edit that out. But I don't like working in chaos. I don't like working when things aren't in order. I like a plan.
Yeah.
But I also know that things change. I mean, working in a nonprofit profession, I mean, a lot of people, anyone who works in this profession knows that things happen. Your funding can go away at the 9th hour. You put in those requests.
Yeah.
Everyone is not as passionate about what you're passionate about, and they don't get what you're saying. So you have to adapt and change. You may not be able to serve 100 people this year, but you can serve 50. So yeah. So
I think I need to hear that. I needed to hear that because
Really?
I have this big plan and things just may not always go the way that I want them to go.
They may not.
So what was one of those characteristics, something that held you back early on, would you say?
Fear.
That's a big one.
Fear. Fear of success. Well, I would say fear of success. Fear of judgment from people who honestly didn't look like me.
Right.
Fear of not succeeding. I mean, I really, and I'm gonna tell this story. So I was working in development at an organization called Bridges. I was the development manager. I was promoted to development manager from another position. And my boss at the time came to me and said, I want to make you VP of development. And I said, not yet. Now, who does that?
What?
Right.
Please
I
explain.
said not yet. But the not yet came from my fear of success, of not succeeding, my fear of taking on more responsibility, and me in my own way not really believing I could do it. Being a manager meant I just managed the process. I managed the process. But being a VP meant that I was responsible for the staff, the process, the work, the budget, the programs, I was a person that had to raise whatever was not taken care of in that budget for those programs. I had to do it. And I didn't feel like I was ready to do it.
Thinking back on that, what would you tell that person, that Linda, who said not yet?
I would have said, get your butt in there and do it. You can do it. You're doing it.
You're doing it.
And it's almost like I was doing the work and couldn't even see I was doing the work, but he saw I was doing the work.
Right.
And so
that's key. So I've said this before, and I truly believe it. And it started for me when I worked for the school system, and the director of the program, she saw so much in me. She was like, oh, you can do this, you can do that. And I was like, no, I can't. Come sit in on this parent conference. Me? You want me to sit in on a parent conference? She saw in me what I didn't see in myself. And so I always tell people now I can see it. I can see clearly, like, oh, that's what she saw.
Right.
So now I tell people, when people come to you and they say, you know what, I think you would be good at this or you will be good at that. Listen to them, regardless of how you feel, because, or how you think about yourself at that time. If somebody else sees something in you, go with it. Go with it.
Go with it.
Because they're looking at you from the outside. You're looking at yourself from the inside. Right? So listen to them. Trust, especially if it's someone that you trust, someone that you know has your best interest at heart. Listen to them. Do what they're saying you should do, because you never know how you will continue to climb, how you will continue to reach your full potential. They already see the potential. You just don't see the potential in yourself. And I think that's probably what was going on with you.
It was. And I mean, just so insane. I mean, people don't do that. I mean, I kept additional revenue from my household because of that decision. I held myself back, and I held the work back because, I mean, he didn't hire anyone else. He waited until I was ready.
Wow.
And it took a year for me to be ready, which was unnecessary, but it was a process I went through.
Wow.
But I had to, but I was fear.
Wow.
Fear will mess you up.
It will. Stop being afraid.
Yeah. Stop
Just
being
do
afraid.
it.
Seriously, really stop being afraid.
Stop being afraid.
I mean, all you can do is, it may fail.
Right.
Just start over.
Right. And if it fails, at least it's failing with someone who supports you. So we're talking about on the job, we're talking about your career. So we're talking about someone that's encouraging you. We're talking about someone that's trying to develop you.
Right.
They see things in you that you can't even see in yourself. So throw the fear out the window.
Yes.
Throw it out the window.
Throw it out the window. Throw it out the window.
Throw it out the window. All right, so we're going to move on. Next question. So what is your role now? I understand you're in fundraising, but do you have a certain role or?
I am actually now a nonprofit consultant, so
Okay.
I don't necessarily have the responsibility of raising funds for a particular nonprofit.
Okay.
I am in as a consultant in the advisory role, where I give nonprofits advice on the majority of our clients now are people who, nonprofits that are working on capital campaigns. They're trying to build space, renovate space, increase so they can serve more people. So we have a lot of nonprofits that are working to build. So we give them advice and strategy on how to solicit funds from individuals, corporations, foundations, and it's great work.
Wow.
I love it.
So what have you done in over 25 years to advance your professional development? What are some things you've done on your own through your company to get you to this point where you are now, where you are an expert and people are coming to you to find out how to?
I have always, and I think I said this earlier, always been open to learn and grow from people. So I definitely have had great mentors in my life who have given me good advice, career advice and around this profession, and just career advice, just basic career advice. I attend, and I do less of this now than I did when I first started out, but every conference, every nonprofit conference, every workshop, anything that I could do to learn more and grow, I attended. And there's a conference called the Association of Fundraising Professionals. It's an international conference that they have all across the country, a different city every year. And I attended those religiously. We have a local chapter here. They have luncheons and they have speakers. So I definitely attend I try to, anything that I can attend to learn from others or learn more. I do. And now I'm trying to, and even as I'm presenting more. So even as I present, I'm learning because you got to research and make sure you know what you're talking about.
Right.
So I'm always in learning mode.
So lifelong learning is
yes.
super important.
Very.
Super important. Never
Super
stop
important.
learning.
Never
Never
stop.
get to a point where you feel like you know it all.
Ever.
There's
Ever.
always more to learn.
There is. There is always more to learn.
Always
Please
more to
remember
learn.
that.
All right, so we are almost done. We have a couple of more questions, and then I want to talk about this amazing book that was written 2 houses down from me. All right, so we talked about what it was like when you first entered the workforce, we've talked about those things that you've done to develop yourself professionally. What advice would you give to someone who is just now entering the workforce and then someone who feels stuck? So just entering the workforce, you have a lot of young adults in your life. So what advice would you give them? And then what advice would you give to someone, let's say our age? Let's put it out there. Who's feeling stuck and feeling like they're afraid? So,
Okay. For someone just entering the workforce, my advice is do the work. Show up and do the work.
stop. Show up and do the work. Okay, go ahead.
And I know millennials, you get a bad rep. People are talking about how you all are just in your own little worlds and your expectations are just off, unrealistic. I, on the other hand, think that the creativity and the innovation that you all bring to the table is so valued. But at the same time, when you accept a position and you start your career or start working, you have accepted you have a responsibility to show up and do the work. And it may not be the way you want to do it. Show up, do the work. And get in there and do the work for a little bit before you go in trying to change everything. It's okay to make recommendations around change, but you also got to remember, and do it in a respectful way, but you also got to remember that the organization you're working for 9 times out of 10 has been around a long time. You're not coming into a new organization that needs you to come in and fix it. You're coming into an organization that values your talent and what you bring to the table. So you show up and do the work, and then you offer, if you feel like some things could change, then you offer some recommendations on change. But show up and do the work, and show up and do the work in a way that you feel like, that you're showing your employer that you value the position, you value the organization. I think that that's why, sometimes, I say millennials get a bad rap. It's because the attitude and the way you all present things can sometimes be off-putting. It's not that you're not offering great advice or great recommendations. It's the attitude around it. And you all are smart. You're creative. You're innovative. You all have access to things that many of us did not have when we first entered the workforce, which is all great and can only make an organization better. But again, show up, do the work, and any recommendations you have, present them in a respectful way.
Can someone please go get Major so that he can bring the water because it is on fire in here? Oh my gosh! Linda, the information, what Linda just said, everything that Linda just said is the truth. You do bring value, but you have to show that you bring value.
Yes.
It doesn't happen overnight. It didn't happen overnight for us. You have to show that you bring value, be an asset to the organization, and then they are less likely to ask you to leave the organization.
Right.
Linda, that was amazing. Oh my gosh, that was so good.
It's the truth.
Oh my gosh. So, all right.
Someone that's stuck.
Someone that's stuck. Get ready. Y'all, you listen.
If you are stuck in your chosen career, stop and assess where you are.
That's key.
What's not working? What has you feeling like you're stuck? Is there something else you would like to do? Do you have skills to do something else? Really stop and assess. Evaluate where you are.
Yep.
And make a decision. Make a decision about what it is you're going to do. If you're going to stay, you've got to figure out how to make things different, how to make what you're doing and where you are how to get back into a good place with where you are, if that's the decision you make. But if you decide to move and do something different, move. Don't sit and harp on it for 6 months. I need to have this in place and that in place. Move. If your decision after sitting down, because you spent the time doing the work, you evaluated where you are, you figured out what it is you want to do, and hopefully you have a roadmap to how you're going to get there. And if you don't, put the roadmap in place on how you're going to get there.
Right.
And when you do that, move. Right. A lot of us sit and wait on things to happen. Mm-hmm. A lot of us sit and complain and continuously whine about a situation when we have the power to do something different.
That's right.
It's up to you. No one else is going to do it for you. Your boss is not going to walk in, unless you're just a terrible employee, which you probably aren't, going to walk in and say, get out of here. You have got to decide. You're either going to give it all where you are, make some changes so it's a better and more positive situation for you, or you are going to do something different. And that different thing that you want to do is not going to happen while you're sitting and ruminating about your current situation. You've got to move. You got to do something different.
You have to move. I totally agree with everything you said. When you are reevaluating where you are and you decide, okay, I'm just going to stay here. Maybe you have 10 more years on the job, right? And you decide you're just going to stay here, but don't stay there and be miserable. Have a conversation with whoever your mentor is, whoever your manager, supervisor is, and say, listen, I have 10 more years here at this company. How can I make them the best 10 years that I've been here? What should I do? How can I turn this thing around? It is not fun to be on a job and to be unhappy, right? I listen to a lot of motivational speakers, and one thing that I've been hearing lately is, for me, I'm 48 years old. I'll be 49 in May, and I have more years behind me than I may have in front of me.
So true.
And that may be a doom and gloom way to look at life, but for me, that pushes me. That puts a sense of urgency to live the best life that I can live for the rest of the time that I'm here on earth.
Yes.
So if you're at a job and you decide, okay, I'm just going to stay here, but don't just stay there and just be there, reevaluate, find out what can you do to make the next 10 years, the best 10 years. Right? And then if you decide to move, now keep in mind, when you make that decision to move, there are some other smaller action steps that may need to happen before that can happen. Don't just move and you don't have a plan in place.
Definitely have a plan in place.
Definitely have a plan in place.
Right.
Okay? But just know that once you make the decision, that's the first step. There are other action steps that need to be taken in order for you to make that change. But if you're going to make the change, you make the decision to change, then get your mindset ready, because there are some things that have to happen so that you can do that successfully and seamlessly.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
Great. All right, so I hope y'all got all that. We are dropping the bombs, the fire bombs. I hope you got it all. And Linda is such a sincere person. I feel like I'm a sincere person. So we're not giving you information. We're not just talking. Mm-mm. This is what we've lived. This is how we have progressed our careers. And we progressed our careers not by being perfect all the time, but having different experiences, learning from those experiences, and then making those necessary tweaks so that we can continue to move on. Right? So, Linda, you wrote a book.
Yes.
Let's talk about it.
Okay.
I don't want to take it down. The Nonprofit Adventures of Amber Reed.
Yes.
By Linda McNeil. You see it. You see it. Let's talk about it. Tell me, how did you even come up with the thought of you wanting to write a book? How did you come up with that?
Well, working in a nonprofit profession, you meet a lot of people. A lot of things happen. You have a lot of experiences, some good, some bad.
Okay.
So I have a lot of stories, and I would always joke, especially when we had something just ridiculous happen. I'd always joke with my coworkers and say, one day I'm going to write a book about all this stuff.
Wow.
So I just, during this pandemic, of course I work remotely, but again, we weren't mobile. There, and as you know, Felecia knows me, my husband and I always on the go.
Always. I'm so jealous. They're always somewhere doing something on the beach, eating lobsters. I mean, it's crazy, but yes.
So our ability to go was limited. So I had all this time, and these stories are in me. So I just decided, let me write them. And the first book is not the tell-all, because that one's coming one day when I'm out of this profession. This one is a little bit more upbeat. I just felt like, also in addition to the fact that these stories were in me, I feel like the people in this profession needed something uplifting to read. And this in the book is positive. It's also, I think, and my intention was, and the feedback I've got received from people, I think it's educational. I think that even in the short, it's a book of short stories, each one different. But Amber Reed is the kind of shero fundraiser in the book, but each story there's a lesson, a fundraising lesson, a lesson about, you know, how important a relationship is, how important researching the organization, individual that you are meeting with is. I mean, how understanding their backstory and their motivation for giving. There's stories about just nonprofits having their stuff together, and if you don't don't have the results, you're not making an impact in the lives of the people that you say you're serving. You can't go. Well, you shouldn't be, but people do it anyway. But you shouldn't be asking people for money if you're not walking the walk. So this book is to me a labor of love. My daughter actually designed my youngest designed the cover.
Y'all see the heels. Y'all see it. You see it.
I am so pleased with the feedback that I'm getting from this book, and it's exactly what I wanted. I did not write it to make a whole lot of money. I just wanted to get the stories out there. It wasn't. So my daughter, she does my kind of marketing, social media stuff too. She's always saying, well, are we trying to sell 500 books? So, I'm like, I just really just want to get it out there to the people.
Wow.
And so it's been well received, and I was happy that I found, how you have a goal. Yeah, I did it.
Wow.
So if nothing else happens with this book, it's written.
Well, I am super proud of you.
Thank you.
Because, of course, I feel like there are millions of books inside of this brain and this heart. Yeah. So you are my shero. Like, I know someone, I can touch someone who has written a book, right? So you have definitely inspired me. How long did it take you to write?
Let's see. So I started maybe June of the first year of the pandemic, in 2020.
Okay.
And honestly, I wrote one story, and that one story sat there for so long. I distributed the story to my daughters, a couple of friends, got their feedback. All feedback was positive. But it took me another 6 months to start writing.
The second story?
Yes.
Oh, my gosh.
And I honestly did not move quick enough. I didn't move until I got an accountability partner. So I reached out to a good friend of mine who I know is will hold me accountable. Right. And we set a timeline. One story a month until I got the stories written, and she stayed on me. I'm so thankful, but it did not. And while I just gave advice earlier about moving, I moved, but I was not motivated to keep moving. So I had to reach out and get someone who I knew would keep me going and keep me and hold me accountable to what I said I wanted to do. And that was a godsend. Yeah,
and that's key. Having a mentor, having a coach, having a accountability partner, someone who knows your heart, someone who knows your spirit, someone who knows what you really want to do, then, they're going to keep pushing you. Hey, you said you were going to do this. Right. And we all need that. Yes. We all need that.
I certainly did. Awesome. That would not have happened had it not been.
So let me go back for a second. I'm going all the way back to your motivation for going back to school and you wanting your children to see more, do more, see more, and have more. But now you have grandchildren. How has that strengthened your desire to propel, I guess, and to create your lifestyle? Because I don't feel like your lifestyle is over. Your life is not over. I mean, you just wrote your first book. So I feel like it's some major things that are about to happen. But how has that strengthened your desire to be to be great, having grandchildren? What has that done for you?
Well, I mean, it's just a different type of motivation.
Yeah.
The motivation for my children was for them to have more, like I said, have more, see more, do more.
Mm-hmm.
And the motivation for my grandchildren, also, I want that for them, but I also want to leave a legacy for them. I want them, after I'm gone, I want them to be able to say, my grandmother gave.
Right.
My grandmother contributed to this community.
Mm-hmm.
My grandmother was amazing. She made a difference in the lives of people that she came across.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, I want them to be able to travel around this city and say, my grandmother had something to do with that.
Wow.
My grandmother had something to do with that.
Wow.
And so now it's about that legacy
Mm-hmm.
and leaving them with a wonderful memory.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope memories that motivate them to continue to do more and be great and give back, leave things better than where they, how they found them.
That's awesome.
So I just, it's now about legacy.
Yeah, I feel the same way.
Mm-hmm.
I have 3 sons. My oldest will be 22 in March. And it's about legacy. It's about changing things, not just for them, but for the children that they'll have one day.
Exactly.
So that's awesome. I love that. Love that. All right, so congratulations on your book.
Thank you.
Where can everyone find the book? Because even though she just wrote it for her friends, no, this is for the world. So where can people find this book and how can they purchase?
You can find the book on Amazon.com. It is available in print and via Kindle. You can, or ebook. And if you are a Kindle subscriber, you can get it for free.
Whoa! The Nonprofit Adventures of Amber Reed. Congratulations, Linda McNeil.
Thank you.
Last question. What life advice would you give someone who is afraid to change their lives? We've talked about fear and everything, but this is your opportunity. What will you tell someone who is just afraid to change their lives?
I would say, and advice I've received from people I work with, mentors, and just the way I live my life. Honestly, I as Felecia said, we attend the same church. I am a Christian, so I do believe that there is a purpose for my life, and I do believe that it's a God-given purpose. So my advice is trust the process. You are where you're supposed to be at the right place, right time, right now. You are where you're supposed to be. So trust the process. Listen to yourself. Listen to your gut. Listen to your heart. And if you're hearing change, and trust the process.
Trust the process. Linda, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for inviting me. I've enjoyed telling my little 2 cents.
more than 2 cents.
I've enjoyed it.
Thank you so much. I really admire you. I always have.
Same here.
Right. We still have to get together and play spades in the backyard.
We do.
That has to happen.
We have to do that.
Listen, thank you so much for watching or listening. You may have listened to this while you were driving. So however you were on this podcast, thank you. This has been episode 3 of Career Conversations with Felecia H. Eden with special guest Linda McNeil, author of The Nonprofit Adventures of Amber Reed. Yay. Thank you all for watching, and whatever you do, get up, get moving, and do something to change your life. Thank you, Linda.
Thank you.